Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. Hope everyone's had a great weekend and had a good 4th of July as well. That was kind of the last day we all met up. So, slight different chart this morning. Hey, Speedy, how you doing? So, over the weekend, I did a bit of research, read a couple of papers that Taylor put together, and this to me is a better option. I had a good think about trading the ES and then trading the NQ and then trading the CL. And this, after a good sort of thought and a bit of a discussion, seemed like a much better option. So what I'm finding when I'm trading this CL, and there's two different charts, I tend to focus on one more than the other. And I was focusing on the ES the other day, and I noticed a setup, not a great setup, but I jumped in and ended up losing a trade. So I need to focus a little bit more my time on a particular chart before I take a trade. And I've found sometimes I can lose focus a bit. But after doing some research and playing around with charts, this seems like a much better option. Now, so many times when we sort of move up in a channel, we come back to the key entry point, but we don't get a setup bar. At least now with two charts, the chance of getting a setup bar goes up dramatically. And I only really need to focus on one chart. As soon as it comes back to the key entry point, then I can glance quickly. It's just more importantly about the signal bar, really. So I've traded 10 of my accounts, and also if I open a trade here, it pops up exactly the same on my other chart. So for me, this is a much better option. So market is about to open. I'll mention it again when we get a few more in. So market is about to open. Ching ching. Okay, here we are. So what are we doing today? So we're in this channel. Overnight's not a lot really, but we do seem to be in this channel so far. We've also played out a measured leg. We've cleared up this bit of a liquidity area that may have been left, and we're into new territory now, up into K3. How you doing? So if you guys are new in at the moment, that little scrolling text down the bottom explains what I'm doing. If you need to explain it a little bit more in detail, show you where things like the data series is, just let me know. And any other questions about it, just ask away. But it seems a much better option to have to focus really on one chart. And all I'm doing quickly then is glancing for the better signal bar. So because so many of the times we get a setup, but with a NAF signal bar, but the market goes where we expected it to go anyway. So at least we got double the chance of getting a better signal bar at this way. So I think personally this is a better way of doing things. I don't think from me personally, I can focus enough on each chart enough to take a trade. And also I've gone back up to 2 contracts as well. I think trading one contract is just taking that little bit of pressure off, and I'm taking riskier trades. So this for me is much better option. So I'm kind of glad it happened last week. I jumped in quite a few extra trades. I'm kind of glad that happened, because that told me that this is where it suits me best. There's enough pressure just to keep me a little bit more focused on those better setups instead of taking riskier trades, because I've never liked taking more aggressive trades, but because I dropped down to one contract, I'm kind of taking it, and it's not suiting me. So let's see how we got on today anyway. So I have taken it back up to 2 contracts, 8 ticks, and hopefully that will sort of suit me a little bit better. It is a matter of trying, testing these different things. I think everybody looks for easier ways, better ways, more profitable ways, and all that sort of stuff. So yes, if anybody is new in, just make sure you ask if you're not sure about anything. But that chart on my left there is the S&P 500 2000 tick. All I've done is deselected break at end of day and reloaded it. And apparently what you want is a minimum of 400 ticks between one chart and the next chart, and that's perfect. I'm about 400 to 500 there, so that's fine. So it looks like we're getting a bit of an overshoot here. We are up into new territory. We're up into new highs, sort of area. Got no news today, so that's good. So I'll just put that there so we know where we are. So there's nothing we might bounce off here. So we're into a new area, really. There's no liquidity up here. There's nothing. So, well, it's not strictly true. There could be some orders up here, but what I mean is there's nothing that may cause us some problems. So we've got a clear overshoot and a push up and a new high. So whether this is going to come down or not, I don't know, but I'm leaving this. It's too risky to me. It may do, but it may push up and take out that stop before it comes down. So this to me is just a risky trade. And there is always the possibility it could continue on up and we may widen this channel a little bit. So it's a tough one, this really. You could adjust it ever so slightly. In fact, I think I will actually. It still fits okay to me, so I think that's probably okay to not be concerned just at the moment with an overshoot. We'll see. So it depends how you look at things, but I've put it tight to there and I've put it from there. It's hard to say really. It could be, it might not be, but I think if you're not sure, best just assume it is an overshoot and don't look to take a long trade straight away. Okay, so we got a nice clear little channel down there with a break, small break, and hopefully a new low. Now, I'm not in the market for a trade here just yet, because if that overshoots, it could trigger you and come down in another channel. So at the moment, I'm a bit unsure about that. I can see Thomas Wade has got that fitting and not an overshoot. So, but on the chart up top, you could argue it might be slightly different. It actually does look like more of an overshoot there. We got a touch here at one of these lows. Same here. We're touching here, and we're touching at a couple of places there, but this has looked like a bit of an overshoot, so I'm just being a little bit careful here. So let's just have a little zoom out. So yeah, we've had, I did actually take a trade. Forget what it was now. On Friday, I noticed, I just had a quick look at the markets. I noticed there was still a few people trading. So I did take a trade and got 2 points, $200. In fact, about 3 of them stayed open in here for some reason and got me about, I think 2 got me $50 and 1 got me 75. So I did okay actually. But I only traded for about an hour or so. But we've been quite bullish, to be fair. And also the previous few days we're having quite a good push there. So so we could sort of have a couple of legs and continue on up. It's hard to say, really. So that, I think, is a dangerous trade. And I'll be surprised if that doesn't stop that out. I don't want to take a short here in case it triggers, comes down a couple of ticks and pushes up. We could have 2 legs and then a push up. It's hard to say, really. You could say this is a triple test, but that for me is still too far from that EMA. And if we do have a leg down, we could have another leg down. So there's always that possibility of having that. So going long above there, I think, is risky. Doesn't mean it's not going to work. So it's just a sitting and waiting time, really. You could say it's a triple test, but that concerns me. Leg down with a break. We haven't made a new low yet. Whether we're going to, there is the possibility of an overshoot. It is a possibility. I don't know whether it is or not, but I have to assume. Sometimes I think it's best to assume the worst. Technically, that is a second entry long, but it is stacked, so we could come down, sideways, and then down. We could have a bigger correction if there is an overshoot, so we could continue on up. It's been bullish for a while now, so it's hard to say, but it's risky here. So I'm just sitting tight at the moment, but we are continuing to make new highs. So I'd like to see a decent correction and then a higher low. I think is the only thing that's probably going to get me into a trade there. So we've got a channel down, 1 attempt to go higher. Let's see what happens now. Second attempt to go higher, so I think this may come down. There may be some long stops there or there. So there is a channel down with a second entry short, which is triggered. So that is at risk of getting stopped out. there's also a bullish bar there, which is triggered, so that is at risk of getting stopped out. So I wouldn't want to be in anything here, because I would be surprised if that stops that out and then pushes up and stops that out. I don't know, but I'd like to see a bigger correction. So that for me is about to get stopped out. There we go. So I've actually made a matching low there. No, tell a lie. Is that an actual low? No, it's a matching low. I'd still like to go a little bit below there, to be fair. There we go. One, two, three.
Order submitted.
It's a fair chunky sized bar, and it's quite a bit from the top as well. So if it was a little bit lower, I wouldn't be surprised if it does push up. See if it triggers and gives us a limit order, maybe. Trouble is, we're coming down. We could get 1, 2, 3, and then it could come down for that second leg. I wouldn't consider that a full second leg. So you could get stitched up here. Very tempting.
Order submitted.
Okay. It's a bit bigger risk than I wanted, but I like it. I think it's a relatively solid bar. We'll see. Well, I know Thomas Wade's in the trade anyway, so that gives me a little bit of comfort. There's going to be some liquidity there for sure.
Order
That's enough.
filled.
Beautiful. Everything's closed like it should. Excellent. Lovely start. Nice trade, actually. Anybody take that one? Lovely $200. Just what I needed. Just what the doctor ordered. So I'm pleased with that. I could have gone maybe a little bit higher. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some liquidity there. There'll have been some traders taking that as an overshoot. So I'm pretty sure a tick or two would have gone a bit higher, but sometimes if you get that little bit greedy, it's just not worth it. So. Wow, look at that. Broke that high and immediately reversed. Felt too congested, did it? Well, I get what you're saying. But what I'll say is it is a little bit, but it is moving up and down and up and down. We've got a channel, a break, and a new low. See, what I was doing over the weekend is I was reading into and watching a few videos on fair value gaps and ICT. And I learned a little bit more. Now, I know, and I've heard and I've said many times, price moves towards liquidity, and it tends to clear up liquidity before it moves off. So any trades there may have been a second entry short there, which triggered and stopped out. So that's clear. If anybody took that trade or that trade, any stops got cleared out. So technically, we've had a drop down, cleared up any liquidity, and it's pushed up strong. So for me, that was going to push up high. I like the setup because sometimes if you get in a bit early, and I've got in too early, it ends up stopping you out and end up going in the same direction. But when it broke below all that lot for a new low and pushed up there, plenty of room to the highs. If you took it one tick about there, I mean, there's 2.5 points to the highs. I came out for 2 points there. So for me, I think it was okay. It's not unreadable. And that's another reason why I like being part of Thomas Wade's group, because I know he took it exactly the same, and I know someone else took it and someone else. So when you hear a bunch of other people take it, it tends to make you feel a little bit better. So I don't think it was congested enough to make it unreadable, put it that way. And I do like the way it clears out any of the cobwebs there. So anybody who may have took that one or that one, stop tick up below there, they all got taken out. Theoretically now, there's no real liquidity down here. You wouldn't have taken that one. It's way too far from the channel or the key entry point. So really, the next place is here. So that's not going to come down there that low before it makes a new high. So the next available area for liquidity is going to be above that bar there. And it's funny, isn't it? We broke up there and we had a nice big bearish bar which triggered and now got stopped out again. So I think it was okay to take. Now, a lot of the times I take them and I'm getting nervous and getting out for a point or whatever. So what I'm doing now, I'm just taking them, I'm leaving it at 2 points and I'm just leaving it at that. I ain't doing what Mac does, monkeying with the trades, because you end up cutting yourself short. It's always best to stick to your plan and trade it. But it's another reason why I joined Thomas Wade's Discord, because a lot of traders put their trades on. So if you didn't jump in there, sometimes you know, if it's going up and down and up and down and up and down, you do get a little bit of time to maybe have a bit of a think. But it's always good to see other people taking the trade. The more the merrier, really. But no, I get what you're saying, Thomas. You've got to make your own decisions, because I know some of you guys have said I'm into trades before and I've thought it's congested. But I heard Max say once, you can trade congestion as long as you can read it. Now, there is some congestion that may be a bit like this and isn't very clear. But this, to me, we've had a clear break. There's some shorts trapped there for starters. We've come down here. We've gone to the top. We've come down again. So really, you could say once, twice, 3 times. So it's also a triple test. Now, because it's closed there, doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. I've seen Mac take many a trades at the top of a range. I mean, if that had been going a bit longer, see, there's not really bars stacked there. There's a big gap here for starters. So that for me is down, and we push up, and then we have a little bit back, and we go up and come down again for the 3rd time. So, but yeah, it's an hard decision. What might look good to another trader might look too risky to another, and you have to do what feels right for you. I don't think there's one size fits all. Yeah, I just don't feel this. Absolutely. And I wouldn't try and tell you any other way, mate. Because like I say, sometimes you'll put a trade down and I'll think, ooh, I'm not a fan of it. So you have to do it. I think we all fit into a certain area of comfort when we're taking risk. And if you step out your comfort zone too much, I think your risks change and your dynamics change. So I think you're always best on doing what you think is right. You have to learn your own way, and you have to find, what fits for you. So by leaving it, mate, if you thought it was right, as far as I'm concerned, you made the right decision. I'm just so glad I got a bloody trade earlier because when I thought I'm going back up to two contracts, I thought I'm going to be sat here for a couple of weeks before I take a trade. But it is nice to get in nice and early to get a nice trade, and it all worked nicely. So it's a good start to the day. So I can relax now. So I know if I get no more trades for the next 2 hours, doesn't make a difference. I've earned my money for the day. Technically, I'm up $1,920. So if you can do that once a day, that's $10,000 a week, really. Taking away a little bit of fees, that is a ton of money. $40,000 a month. Once you get your account up and have a nice big buffer in your account, God, you can imagine withdrawing that, or even half, or even a quarter of that amount. If I could get $10,000 a month, I'd be chuffed to bits with that. Even on a bad month. So I have also been looking at, I hear a lot of people talking about fair value gaps and ICT concepts and all that sort of stuff. And I don't think you can ever learn enough about trading. Now, I was watching this guy and he was talking about, these fair value gaps where there's one there, for instance, where, where the previous high and the next bar, you can see a gap there in the market there. So between the previous high and the next bar's low, now there is a gap there. And in a lot of cases, because there's a little imbalance there, price comes back into it. So a lot of people will put a trade here, put an order here somewhere, put a stop here and get whatever they're going to get. But being a price action trader, I was thinking sometimes when you fill a gap like that and you get a nice signal bar and it goes along with the way price action traders trade, probably not explain it very well, but I think it will help us understanding these fair value gaps and where market likes to, because obviously you can see where that's finished and we push straight up. And we haven't really filled that. But if you look at every other bar, this bar was swamped by that bar, this bar was swamped by that bar, and so on. The previous bar and the next bar literally sort of work up and come back. They sort of interlink and overlap each other. But there's a strong push up there. So we've pushed up, we've come back, and a lot of people will put an order there. So they may sort of put an order there and then go up to, I don't know, however how much. Usually what they'll do is look back and find areas where it's likely to push up. Now, in this case, it's not ideal because we're at all new highs. But you know, if you add your order there, put your risk there, which would be say 2.75 points, and got out maybe for double that. I think, you know, a lot of cases. But as I was watching this guy and I was looking at these areas where he was taking longs, and it was looking like a good setup from a price action point as well, not just, you know, from the fact that there was a gap. So that's something else I'm looking into. There was a channel, Inner Circle, more content about fair value gap. Yeah, that's the sort of stuff in fact, I'll show you what I'm doing. So if you are bored one night and you want to look at something, I'll show you what I was looking at. There's a series of, and they're free as well. Where's history? Let me just this up a little bit. Here's my history. I'll knock the sound a bit. So yeah, this is basically it. So if I just drag this into this ICB mentorship, it's free, just episode 1. I think it's got 20 of them, and it explains, you know, about these gaps and all this sort of stuff. But just how, you know, if we had 2 legs down here and it filled that gap and it was a nice long, then so I think that's beneficial to price action traders. I think we can get some real value out of that. So that's the videos I'm watching anyway. As I say, I don't think you never learn enough about trading. I learned about ICT, but I feel like learning from him is such a pain. Yeah. I will say, and I think I know what you mean, Thomas, he is very slow and methodical. But there is another guy who shows you, he breaks it down into simple sort of bite-sized pieces. And this guy I was watching as well. This guy here. This one here. And what he basically says, it's exactly the same package, but it sort of breaks it down a lot easier. Is this the actual video or not? He does. So like the moving average. ICT, yeah. He breaks it down into a lot. Yeah, it's a lot shorter, put it that way. But yeah, I know what you mean. He is a little bit. I suppose he's sort of ICT. It's sort of the equivalent of Al Brooks, really. We have someone in price action who's quite methodical, and you know what I mean. There is a failure there, and this to me, after breaking that high, is probably going to go a bit lower. But I'm just staying out of this at the moment in case we have a leg and a leg and a what. But it's in fact on the chart above, it's only a higher low. But I'm staying out of this just at the moment. But I wouldn't be surprised if that worked, because we've had a break. We've had 2 pushes up to a new high, lower high, failure. It's probably going to work. But that 2 points is just below this. So I'd probably go for a little bit less, but looks like it'll work. Yeah, it did. Okay, so because I was talking, see, I wasn't focusing, but we do look like we've got a channel down after this 2 legs up, so that did work for 2 points. There was a lower high there, but there wasn't much space to the EMA. And the chart above, that's a little bit different, it was only a lower high. I took it, I liked it. Yeah, I don't think it was that bad, actually, after this. I think what it is because I've just taken a trade and it worked lovely, I kind of want to sort of bask in the glory of being up $2,000. But yeah, I think it was an okay trade, actually. I don't know if I'd have waited for 2 points, but it did drop below and push into it. But yeah, I mean, we've had this channel, we've had a break, and we've had 2 clear pushes up. We've pushed up, trapped a few shorts, and cleared all the cobwebs again, and we're at new highs, and it's fitting quite nice here. So I'm just not sure. My only slight concern with this now is we go a bit sideways, but let's have a look. Yeah, it's hard to say exactly what we're going to do, but to me, it may be looking a little bit rangy. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, the thing is, if you look at the chart, the second chart up the top, I've got, it's only a lower high. It's only given us, let me zoom in a bit there so you can see it. it's only given us a lower high. We've still got our 2 clear pushes, but it's only given us a lower high. But do you remember I talking about this little strategy that I look whenever we get sort of something like this, and whenever we get a bullish bar which finishes close to its high in a downtrend, you sell it. If you'd have sold that, triggered, pushed up, came back, clearly made you 2 points. So the fact that that was there was probably another good reason to take it. See, the weird thing now, we've got a little bit of a dilemma here because that's still fitting nice in this channel, and that is giving us a break and an overshoot. Obviously, the stem we don't need to count, but we haven't got a stem there, so it's interesting this using two charts. Avoid this guy. E-man made of it. Well, he did. He did, yes. But like I've read so many times, it's very, very rarely the strategy that's the problem. It's the trader. But there is a lot of people trading this sort of ICT concepts and lots of people. So it's just something I'm learning about, not necessarily to trade, but to help me understand price a little bit more, because you know, these gaps that do appear, they do tend to get filled. And if we have a second entry long and it's filled a gap, we've got a bullish buy. Just another reason to, you know, maybe to do a long. But I certainly don't want to give up max price action, but I think it's always good to learn, you know, the broader picture about other people's opinions on reading the markets. Trouble is, he's got 1.5 million followers. Surely you can't fool that many people. He's been doing it for years, isn't he? So surely people, you know, if this strategy didn't work, but as I say, it's very rarely the strategy. From what I've read, it's the trader, not the strategy, that in most cases is the problem. I think if I'm here long enough, the thing is with that E-man guy, I do like his videos, but he made one about Matt, didn't he? And he made one about Patrick Whelan, so I don't know. You know, he made it about Apex and all this sort of thing, but as far as I'm concerned, I think Apex is okay. You know, they've had a bit of stick, haven't they, from certain YouTubers, but I think the problem is just the rules. If you follow the rules, you know, personally, I'm not too worried about getting paid. Streams under something like Apex Sniper Beast. I'll tell you, Apex Sniper Beast is Brant. He's what's his name? Oh, what's his name? He's kind of affiliated with Apex. Shallan Winter, Shallan Winter. That's the Apex Sniper Beast. Shallan Winter. He's also got a Facebook group. Yeah, he's also got a Facebook group. See, he in fact, I'll tell you what, you might know this, but you know, the other guy that works for Apex, he's a trader himself. Oh, my head's gone blank. What's his name? He's got another Facebook group as well. He actually works for Apex, and he doesn't use the Apex Sniper system. Yeah, Chris Childers, that's the one. He doesn't use the Apex Sniper system either. He does the same thing as Shallan Winter, this ICT. So I definitely think there's something there. When you look into it, it makes sense. And I think, you know, those of us who've been trading 2 or 3 years, I think will know enough to be able to see through these, whether they're cons or not. And if you've got 1.5 million viewers, I don't think you can get away with conning 1.5 million people with a NAF strategy that doesn't work for any long period of time. So, but excuse me a sec. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think it'll, because he did say, this other guy said, it will help with price action if you know price action. So, as I say, any type of education, I mean, I wouldn't suggest flipping from one strategy to another. That's not what I'd be thinking. You know, this for me is my strategy and it works. Yes, recently there hasn't been a lot of setups, but when you do get a setup and a really good setup, they do work. But yeah, I think any education is helpful in this business. I think if you just continue to learn and educate yourself, it'll only help you. Yeah, Chris Childers. The trouble is that, you know, I got into a conversation with the CEO from Apex on a Facebook group maybe a year or so ago, and he mentioned the sniper system. And I said, well, the thing is, it's $250 a month. He said, well, why wouldn't you want to pay $250 a month? I said, if I was earning money, I wouldn't mind. But the trouble is, when people start to learn, and at Apex specifically, mainly their target audience is newer traders. So if you sign up, you get a couple of free months and you start paying $250. Most of us, it's taking 2 years plus at least. And if you pick it up easy before you're making money. So you're paying $250, that's $3,000. Sorry, it's $3,000 a year. It's a lot of money to learn to trade. So no, he said to me, well, why wouldn't you want to pay for it? I said, well, if I was earning money, I'd happily pay for it, but that's not always the case. So we're into new territory here. Let's put we're constantly making and breaking new eyes here, so I just want to keep track of this because there's nothing that we're really going to come into contact with. But yeah, I did take a trade. I forget where it was on Friday. There was a lot more price action than I thought, in all fairness. I forget where it was now. But for some reason, 3 of these didn't close. By the time I'd shut all 3 down, 2 of them had made $50 extra. Another one had made $75 extra. So I got on the right side of it that time. I tried the sniper system for a free month. So yeah, it's flipping confusing, isn't it? We've all heard people say the simpler the strategy, the better. Just looking at that chart gives me a headache. When you've been doing it a while, it's probably not as bad as it looks, but I think paying $250 every month just to learn something continuously, for me, is just too much. It's a lot of money, that is, just to pay every single month. If it takes you 3 years to learn, as we know, it's not the strategy, it's the problem. It's applying it to the correct context of the market, and that's what takes the time. And then along with the psychological side, and not only that, if you're paying $250 every single month, you're under a little bit more pressure to earn something. So for me, it's just a bit. If it was free, I think they should do it. That it's free, but then if you use their PA accounts, and if you start making a certain amount of money on a PA account, then they charge you that. That's okay. And not only that, is if anything ever happens to Apex, you're buggered because they own the system. What you're gonna, I can, drop Ninja Trader and take my skills onto any other platform, but with that you can't. You're kind of stuck with it. So they've kind of got you by the balls, really. So it didn't work for me. It was interesting, but yeah, I know Chris Childers and WhatsApp have moved over to ITC, so they seem to From what I've heard them talking about it, they seem to think it's okay. In fact, now I've taken this one, I'm just going to change over to... Oh, no, let's leave it there. Okay, so we've got a channel down here with a break. I'd like to see that broken because there's bound to be some stops below there and maybe that one as well. So I'd like to see that triggered. If I took that trade there, for me, I'd expect to get stopped out. So I think it's likely this is going to come below here and possibly even below there. So it's weird, now I've got this other chart. The other chart seems to be where the better trades are, but in this case, it looks better here. That one, the failure looked good, and I liked how tight it was right on that EMA as well, and also under that middle midline there. But here, it was only a lower high. And we've kind of already had a break and made a new low in one bar, so I probably wouldn't take that one. That one would have interested me a lot more. So it is nice having the two options. And that one as well also looked like a possible overshoot. We came from here, which is one of those three lows. Touch. Even if I dragged it out to touch that one, which probably fits. Looks definitely like an overshoot. But here, it kind of doesn't. So I like the way you've got a couple of different perspectives with either being able to glance at either chart, you still know the bigger overall picture, whereas the CL I found in itself fine, but when you're trying to trade the two, it's understanding what's going on this chart. It's not a case of what I can see here. I've got to keep it in mind what the overall picture is, and if I'm focusing on here and I take a glance to the CL, which I did the other day, and I saw a failure, I jumped in without having really time to digest what was going on. So I think that's the problem. Now, if we had a little bit more time, if we traded a slower chart, then maybe a couple of charts would be a lot easier to read. But for me personally, I find it's better for me just to focus on one chart. Technically, although there's two charts, they're still technically the same. The only slight difference is mostly going to be just a signal bar. That's all really. I'd definitely like to see this come down here and take out these. Whether it will hit this first or not, but for me, I think it's very likely we're going to break below these two bars before we consider higher, possibly even there. But it is sideways, and once it goes like this, your guess is as good as mine where it goes. But if you were going to trade a range, that is not the type of bar you would really want to be trading off. Not only that, we're nearly halfway up between the top and bottom, so for me, that would be a dangerous trade. Having said that, you've got a strong position there, and a lot of the times we said before, it comes down, but it doesn't touch these good strong positions, and that for me was. So a lot of the times it will take out weaker positions like that one there, but that one stayed intact. Hey Chris, how you doing? Are you sure it's the left chart we're looking at? Okay, this chart here, the main chart, is my normal chart with breaker end of day selected in 7 days. The smaller one, sorry, it's above me, but to your left is the one with the opposite. So hopefully you can see that. If I drag it onto here, you'll probably be able to see it. It's a little bit bigger, but I've just deselected that. That's all. We've still got the same days. So this belongs on that chart there. And that just gives us, so if you look here, the signal bar there looked a bit different from here, didn't it? And same here, same there as well. We've got a little channel down there, looking on the smaller one. If I zoom in, we've got a little channel down there, lower high, but we've had a break of the channel and a new low in one. But this looked much better. It was a failure. So red ribbon is showing the opposite. Your red ribbon. What was it? Let me have a look. Never read of it. It's not a ribbon. It's called scrolling text. Hold on a minute. I've got to wait for it to go by before I read it. Sorry, bud. I'll change it if it's different. Come on, speed up, speed up, speed up. Come on. Speedy, speedy. Okay, here we go. I'm trading. I should speed. Trouble is, if you speed it up, it kind of fries your brain. I'm trading 2S charts. The charts on the left has break at end of day checked. Yes, you are correct. So unchecked, isn't it? So I'll change that, mate. Well spotted, pal. Sorry about that. So I'll check that. I'll change that. So chart on the left is break and I'll put select. The data series giving a slight variation. Okay. Let's try that. Sorry about that, Chris, if it's caused you some grief, mate. Have a look. The chart on the left has break at end of day deselected. Yeah, it was late last night. I get a bit obsessed with these things, constantly changing stuff. No, don't you worry, mate. I've got to get it right. Yeah, that's how giving a slight variation in bars. There we go. Wow, look at this. Yeah. Okay, so for me, these had danger written all over them. We've clearly had a break, 2 pushes up to a new high, and we're coming down, aren't we? I put that there just as a possibility. But for me, well, obviously after this, sooner or later, it was always going to stop those out, in my opinion, and that one lightly as well. Possibly that one. So now it's broken all these for me. I think we may work down a bit, but there is a possibility of having 2 legs. See, it's not come down far enough that it couldn't continue on up. So if I do that and that, we haven't come down 50% the time, 50% yet, and we've come down a little bit sideways and quite a strong bullish bar there, so it'd be interesting to see. There is a possibility we could continue on up. Whether it will or not is another matter, but it's not come back enough to make me think that it couldn't go higher. Once it gets below here and a little bit lower, then we're coming down, and not only that, it doesn't really look like a channel. I don't think. If it does, there's a bloody big overshoot. So I mean, it could be that, but as long as we don't get really any lower than there, you know, there is a possibility we could continue on up. And not part of the reason as well, because it hasn't come below 50%, that there looks like 2 legs as well. So it has been very bullish lately. It has broke a little bit below there, but not much. Not much. Doesn't look any different on this one. So that's a leg there. Yeah, it's not far off actually. So as long as it doesn't continue on down past here, there is a possibility of a larger channel. But I like this. I like having this, having two different aspects. Two different perspectives. And you have technically got double the chance, because how many times do we see it come back to here and push up and we have a NAF signal bar? We kind of got a good idea where it's going, but ultimately it's not about where we think it's going, it's where the market's telling us it's going for the next, 3 or 4 points or whatever. But this looks a lot cleaner, a lot cleaner actually, and a lot easier to read as well. It is a bit sideways, but it's readable. We come down, we push up. We bounce, we come up again, and we come down for what looks like 1, 2, 3, the third or maybe fourth time. We engulf everything. We break below all these. So if there'd have been weak positions here and here, that breaks below and pushes up strong. So for me, and I say this quite a bit, if I was going to go long, that would be the bar that was going to push up for me, and it clearly did. So, the more you sit down and watch these day by day, we know kind of where they're going majority of the time, but we don't always have the option or the signal bar. So now if we get a second entry short up here and it comes down lower, forget going higher in my opinion. But this to me looks like a leg, a little attempt to go up, trapping loads of longs and a quick flush down, taking out longs and longs. And if there's anything there as well, so we're pretty fresh here. So there is a higher low, but I'm still not ready to go long just yet. If we can push above the signal bar and start to work up, then maybe I might put something facing up. So there is a possibility we could continue up there. That for me is just not ready for a long trade just yet. Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know this, the only difference between the two charts really is just that. So one's got that, and my main chart has got that selected from data series, which looks like a little fist with a square around it. And then all I do then is just reload, just right click and reload, and then you get a slight difference in the two. Is your chart refreshed? It is refreshed. Yes. Yeah, I did them both earlier, bud. So we've got a similar picture on here. Bars are slightly different. That's more of a bearish bar. That's more of a bearish pin bar, which is a doji, which is a tick off being really bearish. So it's given us the same picture, but in a slightly different way, which I kind of like. It opens things up a little bit, I think, gives us a little bit more information having the two. So on this top chart here, there's a second entry short forming. I'm not taking this at the moment, just in case it traps you and pushes up. There's no setup on here anyway, but there is a second entry short, but it is a bit congested. You could even say that's at the kind of at the top of a what's it. But for me at the moment, with those two legs, I'm not ready to take a short. I'm not saying it won't work, but for me, this is a bit unclear at the minute. It could push strongly above that EMA and then continue to work up, because that to me, we've made a new high, a nice looking correction, quite clear actually. And there's not really a channel there either, not really a bigger channel in all fairness. It could be, but at the moment, after just 2 legs, for me, I need to just wait and find out. And if it does come down and continue down, then fair enough. But I'm just not ready to take a short trade at the moment because it's a little bit unclear. So there's the failure, isn't it? But it's a bit unclear. We got dojis here, and it doesn't really tell us much here. But that to me looks like a correction. So my gut feeling is this may continue up. And there's kind of a possible lower high, but I don't like this at the minute. I might be overthinking things, but I'd rather be a little bit extra cautious. But for me, this could be trapping you. And my gut is telling me to stay away from this. I mean, it is under the EMA, so that's one good thing going for it. But to me, this is just a little bit unclear. It could push higher. It could. We may get a lower high, and it may take out that and that. It's hard to say at the moment. Whatever happens, it's congested. So even if it's a lower high for me, it's still a little bit risky for me. So personally, I'm still staying away. Yeah, it's given us a bit of a dodgy bar on here. It's a tick off a doji. It's slightly on the bearish side, but not enough for me to. That bar on the chart to your left, that bearish bar, that second entry short hasn't triggered. So it really could go either way. That lower high is triggered, but I think it's risky. It may come rushing down, and I could be completely wrong. I'm not saying it won't work. All I'm saying is it's congested and unclear. And there's a failure there as well. There'll be some stops there and there, so I don't want to take this just yet, though. Because I might get trapped myself. In fact, I'm actually going to move. Where am I taking? So 59 to 69. So I'm just going to change this. 59. So 59. I'm just going to do the other 10 now, that's all. Okay, so 59, 59, and 59. So just going to open
Order
the buy
submitted.
there. 59. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Why 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 70. What's that? 70's made money, so I can get rid of 70. Okay.
Order
Let's
canceled.
just try again.
Order
Buy.
submitted.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why is it saying 11 still? I've got rid of 70.
Order canceled.
59. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's try again.
Order
So
submitted.
why is 70 coming up? I've got 70 deselected.
Order cancelled.
Toggle off. Toggle on. Let's try it.
Order submitted. Order cancelled.
59. 59.
Order
Should
submitted.
have just, why is it showing 3? 70 is deselected. Okay.
Order cancelled.
Just going to shut down my replicanto a second. So 59 and 59. 6, 7, 9. So
Order
why
submitted.
is it still highlighting 70? 70 isn't highlighted. Strange.
Order cancelled. Order submitted.
There's 2 70s now. What is going
Order
on?
cancelled. Order submitted.
Strange. I haven't got 70 selected, strangely enough.
Order cancelled.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly reboot my NinjaTrader, see if it makes a difference. Got 1 active order. Strange. Okay, let's just deselect this. Something's playing up. Still showing. Cancel
Order cancelled.
That's got rid of it. Nothing else is open here, is it? Okay, so 59, 59. Just check if I disconnect there. It's not showing anything. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So hopefully now 70 shouldn't appear.
Order submitted.
Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Just check it's still up there. Yeah. Excellent. Okay.
Order
Yeah, something
cancelled.
didn't like something there. Okay. Sorry about that. So it does look like there is probably a channel down now. I'm going to count that as a triple test. Is it? I did this earlier, but we hadn't quite got down there. So, yeah, it is, isn't it? Trouble is, now we've had this third leg down, it's hard to say, so we need to push above this and then bounce here, don't we? Yeah, we're still quite lightly going up. We had this push up, didn't we? And then we had the bounce. We bounced a few times here and then rocketed up again. So up, sideways up. A little bit of a pullback and a bounce. This is a pullback. Whether it's a pullback or indeed it's going to continue down is hard to say at the moment. We don't really want it to be going any lower than there. And it's kind of where it's bouncing. In fact, if you bring that down to there, it's kind of bouncing in the right place there, isn't it? Exactly the right place. Look, we've got some sort of resistance there and it's bouncing off there. So if it could continue on up from here, but you wouldn't really want to go in any lower than that, I don't think. But also it is respecting the possible bottom of a channel down. So could do anything here, really. Could go up, could come down. But I think if it's going to go up, it's going to do it from here, especially after we've had that connection there. Let's see how we go. Okay, excuse me, just for a quick minute. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. Okay. This isn't working. That's strange. The plot and execution isn't working. Is it on this one? No. Odd. Uh, no, it's not showing anything for some reason. Weird is that? I've got text and markers put down. Just watching you. Did you know there was a poll? Do not plot. Hey, Edward. Sorry, mate. I started typing something. So, this is crunch time, isn't it? Are we going to have two legs and it's going to come down? I mean, it could continue down. That's always a possibility. But we've got this kind of a 50% pullback here. So, it's still possible. There's the 50%. We've pushed through it, but we've closed above it. So, there's still a possibility. I mean, it is a possibility could go continue on up. And then the reason I say that is because it's been very bullish lately. You can see, can't you? So, we've had sort of a bit of sideways and a push up and a pull back. So we've had a strong push up. So we did the same. We had a strong push up and a pull back, and then we pushed up some more. So there is a possibility we could go up, but sort of every day, here so far, here, and there, every day we're making sort of, and there, not quite, but we're making new highs every day. So the thing is climbing, so there is a possibility. I'm just not ready to take a short just yet anyway. I want to just give it a chance to sort itself out. It could continue on down and then drop and then end up down here somewhere, and we could end up just having a range, but it's a possibility. So really, I'm not ready to go short here because it could trigger you and push up and then have a pullback and go higher. So it's hard to say really at the moment. So I see England got through to the semi-finals of the European Cup by the skin of their teeth. That's the second time. But I actually, I bet at I very rarely have a bet, but I had a £20 bet on Switzerland to win, and they scored, and I cashed out the bet and made about £40 profit, and then literally within minutes, England scored, so I was quite lucky. I was quite lucky actually. And then they won in penalties. They won in penalties. England, I think, typically don't have a good record when it comes to penalties, but they scored all 5 of them, to be fair. So they did well. So we've actually come down to the bottom, and we've had one leg up with a break and a new high and a pullback, so we could have a leg and a leg. It may continue down. In all fairness, I didn't think that was going to come down, and it did. So, but it wasn't so much of a case of I didn't think it was going to come down. The bit that made me cautious of it is a really nice correction and a pretty quick second leg as well. Now that push down told me it's clearing out these stops. There's some there and some there, but after that one, you can see once it got below there, we had that quick push, so it's clearing out the cobwebs. So then you just don't know what's going to happen. Then you've got to give it time because it could have continued on up, but then we had a drop again. So same again. It's hard to know what to do here. This could come down. Looks like it is actually, but you've just got to give it a bit of time, really. Well, it looked like it was. It's just, I don't like this. Something I don't like about it. It might be me being a bit paranoid. When you've been married as long as I have, you tend to get paranoid quite easy. But yeah, I mean, look, we came down, didn't we? We had a bounce on top of that line. We came down again, a little double bottom. We've come down again. In fact, that's another little touch at the same place. So it's sitting and waiting time here. It may just be a leg and it may continue down. But I got no idea, really. But that trade there is triggered that bearish bar. There's a second entry short. That's too far from the main, too far from this. So I think I'd expect that to get stopped out. And if it does, that would be a better 2 legs to go short. Not what I'm seeing here. But you don't know. It just could rocket on down. Who knows? But it's just unclear. So it's a city weighty time for me. I watched that Irishman last night. It's a good film, actually. I enjoyed it. It's a shame, really. Joe Pesci. He's getting old quick, isn't he? Well, they all are, really, but Joe Pesci, all I see is the same guy that was in Home Alone. But it is a shame, isn't it, really, seeing all these great actors, sort of legends, really wrinkling up a bit, getting old. It was a good film, actually. I enjoyed it. I bet the makeup department had one hell of a lot of work on their hands. So we do seem to be finding some support there. You can see it back there. A little bit there as well. And we seem to have two legs. We've pushed up with a break new eye, two legs. So it could bounce here. I got no idea if it could trigger and come down. Might well do. But the simple answer is I'm not sure what it's doing here. But it's not filling me full of confidence to go short. Interesting. Bounced again. 1, 2, 3. So are we just going to get 2 legs up, or is this thing going to go higher? Your guess is as good as mine. Could be a triple test to go short, but after the bounce here, I'm a little bit unsure about going short on this. It is actually a failure. Yeah, I'm just going to sit out this. It's hard to know what's going on here, really. May come down, but may not. So it's a city weighty. Tempted. This is making me stay out of this trade. It may work. Maybe I'm overthinking things. Control plus E. No, nothing's working in it. Okay, never triggered that one anyway. I wouldn't have taken it because of this. So it may just end up going a little bit sideways in all fairness. But we're going to lag. This will be interesting to see what happens here. There is always the possibility, because it's kind of a lag and a lag, there's always a possibility that this thing could go higher. I'm not sure though, because it looks to me, although we've only come down to 50%, it still looks too much, but it is bouncing off there, so it just may take a little bit to get through there, maybe a little bit of break, encourage a few more sellers, and we'll push through. Alright, I'll just message and see if anybody knows why this is, why I'm getting this. It won't plot or execute for some reason. No idea why. The plot executions, are you sure you have the same account selected as what trade was taken from? Yeah, I took it here. But nothing. Ah, of course. I changed it, didn't I? Yeah, it's all right. I figured it out, yeah. Good point, mate. Well done. Well done, bud. I changed it, didn't I? Well done. Well done, mate. Well done. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've changed them. I've changed over to the other 10, so it's not going to show, is it? That's fine. As long as I know what it is. As long as I know what it is, that's fine. Yeah, yeah. What an idiot. Well, at least I know now. Well done, mate. Yeah. So let's have a look. Leg and a leg. Sometimes when we get this, it encourages a few more sellers just to give it that push. But we do know that this hasn't pushed below that 50%. It's wicked through, but not pushed through it. So it's hard to know what's going to happen here. It could continue up, but it may not. We may get a lower high and it could come smashing through. Who knows? What does it look like on this? See, we've got to push up quite a big bearish bar, actually. It's a little bit more bearish than this. And it hasn't triggered yet. But it's just too risky to trade here, really, because it could do anything. It could go up, could come down. Not a clue. Ah, you're on there as well, are you? Ah, good. Gotcha. Right, Zen is on Thomas Wade's forum. Right, got you. It is worthwhile being a part of his forum, isn't it? Just for that extra. See, the thing is, you guys watching me, you can see my chart, so you can, you can compare it to yours, and it might help your decision-making process. I can only see mine, so I've got no one to sort of relate to, and that's the beauty about Thomas Wade's forum or Discord. He puts his charts up constantly, so if I'm not sure, I'm got mixed feelings about what I'm looking at. It just gives me a second option. So it's definitely useful. Okay, so are we going to come down here? We got a leg and a leg. We have had a couple of attempts higher, so it just may be hitting that little bit of resistance there. And sometimes when we do that, we have a little bit of a pullback, and you may then encourage some sellers. But if you took that one so far, this thing's pushing down, but it's down to the EMA now. It could bounce, and if it does bounce and push higher, then there's always that possibility of a larger channel. It kind of seems like it's gone too far to me visually, but it hasn't broken through, apart from a little bit of a wick, the 50% pullback from this initial push up from the overnight lows. So I don't know what it's going to do here. I won't want to get a trade because it could come down or it could push up. But if it does push up, I'd expect a couple of legs down before it pushes up anyway. And maybe even possibly trap some shorts, push up, little leg up, two legs back, bounce off here, trap some shorts and up for another leg. So it's always possible. So I'm a bit on the fence here. Now, if this is a channel, this is the first break, so you might consider it coming down here, but because of that support, it may not. I can't see where it would have broken, because we've gone from there to that first swing. Now, the only other thing you could say is maybe there's a bit of an overshoot, but I don't know. I'm a bit, it doesn't necessarily come and try and make a new low. If we're in a range, sometimes it will turn. So this just may be such a lot of support here that it just, it may not work. So look at that. That's interesting. So on this other chart to your left, to my top, we've had a break. We've had that big bearish bar, which is triggered. We've come down to the EMA and pushed up. So it'd be interesting to see if this bullish bar triggers. Because if this bullish bar triggers, it could come down below there and make an attempt at a new low. But I've got mixed feelings about this. Because of this, and because of that 50% pullback, it could still move up. So I'm staying out of this at the moment, because you could get caught out if you don't know what you're doing. And I'm not sure I know what I'm doing at the moment with this. So for me, it's just a sitting and waiting. So that's triggered. So that's interesting. So if this comes down and takes that out, it may get to this line, but it still might not mean it's coming down. It could still continue on up. As I say, I'd like to see 2 legs down. If we get a bearish bar, stop this out, maybe trap some shorts, trigger, and then bounce. So just have to see what happens here. You just got to appreciate the fact that we're above this EMA at the moment. Could be a bit of an overshoot there. I don't know. I'm on the fence here. All I know is it's a little bit unclear, so it could do anything, up or down. So what I will do, just out of interest, let's just drop one line there and see exactly, see where it comes to, because there is that possibility. There is some. I kind of think that there isn't. It visually looks like it's come back too much, but I could be wrong. It's been known. So it looks like that's going to get taken out, that stop, which is fine. I'd still want a second entry long to confirm a larger channel. Okay, so there is a lower high there, which I don't like because it's congested anyway. So let's see what happens now. So there's some shorts there. This thing may just drop down. Who knows? I'm still not ready because it could come up to here and bounce. Second entry long there, trapping some shorts. That's my concern there. So, but there is a possible failure if that triggers. It could come down, but at the moment I'm a bit on the fence here. There's going to be some shorts here, surely. But this is just a bit dangerous. Just going to get that out of the way. I don't like the fact that it's broken below there. Could be that, I suppose. Could be. It actually fits better on there, actually, doesn't it? It's hard to say. Interesting. Still bouncing there. I mean, this is wishful thinking. It's hard to say. Let's see what happens if it breaks above there and pushes up. Then I'd say there's more chance of going up. If it breaks above there and it's triggered it now and it comes down below here, it's game over in my opinion. I mean, there is a channel down there with a break, so I mean, it could come down and break the low, so it may push down below there. I mean, this bigger channel is just a possibility. Point being is we haven't closed below the 50%. There is a failure there, but I'm just not sure about what I'm seeing here, and that gut feeling I have tends to keep me quite safe at times. So it's interesting, isn't it? See. Touch, touch, touch. Who knows? Or it could just be channel down. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, failure, and then whoosh, down we come. So I do not know. Channel down. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. Let's see what happens here. Let's get rid of that. It's kind of like a penguin style trade, isn't it? Leg and a leg. If this pushes strongly through that EMA, if it gets through that EMA strongly enough, it may come down and attack these lows. But for me, there is a possibility this could continue higher. I mean, I could be just pissing in the wind, for want of a better word. But I like to sort of look at all options. And what I will say is we've been really bullish for the last few days. You know what I mean? So, I mean, where does that go? You know what I mean? You just don't know, do you? How far do you go down? You know, we're clearly very bullish at the moment, so I just don't like to automatically assume this is coming down, and partly because after this push up, this as well. So if we go from the highs of the day to the lows of the day, There's your 50%. What happened? We pushed through it, we pushed it back above it, we pushed through it, we pushed back above it. We tried to get down to it, we didn't. So we've tried 3 times to break that 50%, and we haven't. Now, I'm not saying it's not gonna. We could just get a couple of pushes up, a little bit more of a run up, encourage some shorts to get in here, and it may eventually push through and come down. Who knows? But I just have to be aware that there is a possibility that there's a larger plan in action there. So I'm just staying out of this because I got mixed feelings. Two pushes up and through that EMA. So let's have a look. Second entry long there off that possible bounce which worked. Now it might not have worked because it was going long anyway. It might have just worked because of the second leg up. I'm just not in the market, sorry, to take a long or a short at the moment. There is a possibility there is a bigger trend up there, which would make me concerned getting into a short here to try and break these lows. If you get a lower high here and it triggers, you bounces off here again and pushes up, you're kind of knackered. So just for me, it's just a little bit uncertain. Call me paranoid. Yeah, when you've been married like 25 years, you get paranoid. Yeah, going short here to break these lows when we've already had, in fact, we've already had one attempt there. So we've come from the edge here, we've come back and we've had 2 legs down again. And then we've pushed up another attempt. So this to me is just looking a bit unclear. Our British girls very aggressive. It can be, mate. French, I tell you what, you know, I remember I went over to, I worked in a ski resort in Val d'Isère when I was about 21. And I was coming back to the UK and I went into Paris and I went down onto the metro in Paris and I asked a woman behind the counter in French if she spoke any English, and she told me in perfect English, no, she didn't. So the French can be a bit aggressive, can't they? In other words, if I wasn't prepared to have a go at French, she wasn't going to help me with the English. So, see, I mean, let's looking at the broader, the smaller picture. We've got a channel down here with a break. We've got 2 attempts to push higher and a lower high there. But I just have a bad feeling here. Now, call me sort of paranoid. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm just looking into it too much. That's maybe the case. The trouble is, I suppose, if you look at the bigger picture and zoom out, you can always find a reason to not take a trade sometimes. But I remember Max said to me once in an email, he said, look for a reason to not take a trade, not to take one. So if you think there's a reason why you shouldn't be taking this, better stay out. So who knows? I mean, ordinarily, if you looked at this, forget the bigger picture, you may think channel, 2 pushes up, straight through the EMA, a little bit of a pullback and down to the lows. It may work, it probably will, but it's just something that doesn't feel right to me at the moment. So, and it's probably something to do with the fact that I've already taken. Now, some people, when they take a winning trade, it can actually act adversely to them. Sometimes they can get a bit confident and jump in another one. I tend to go the other way around. Hey, Karina, how you doing? I tend to sort of go the opposite, tend to go extra cautious, which I don't think's a bad thing. At least that way, the chance of you going home at the end of the day in profit is good. I'm a couple of $1,000 up, see, so I'd like to keep it and to not. But I don't want to turn down a good trade if I see one. But at the moment, I don't know. It's almost trying to work out what it wants to do. My wife's not aggressive, and she's as soft as they come. She has her moments. Used to have some rows when we were younger. I remember once I had a broken rib. We're going back about 25 years. I had a broken rib at the time, and I think I was in bed, and she came up at night, and we were starting arguing for some reason, and it got quite loud, and she thumped me right in the chest, right where I'd broken my rib, and my legs gave way and I collapsed on the floor, and she walked out. Came back in about 10 minutes late and said, "Are you okay?" So we've had our moments. We've had our aggressive moments. She's fattened my lip and blooded my nose in the past. Probably my fault, because when we have an argument, I found the only way I could get to her really was to get her to take a swing at me. Probably a bit crazy as it sounds, but yeah, you go through all those arguments at some point, but we grew out of it. Got a bit too long in the tooth now. We tend to just don't bother. God, this This has gone slow, isn't it? What time is it? I'll tell you what, folks, we've been going just over 2 hours. I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. So that is a possibility. So who knows? So I am just going to take a quick break. It'd be interesting to see whether this holds it or whether it comes down below that or not. So I'm just going to take a quick 3 to 5 minute break, make a quick cup of tea. I haven't had a break yet. And I'll be back. Where's my 5 minutes? There we go. Okay, I'll be back 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. So, being paranoid. Let's have that. So, new low. Lower high there, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? So, nice profit to start the week, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Nice trade. Nice sort of textbook trade. Look nice. Yeah, that's what you want. So, let's get rid of that. I'm not saying it was. It's just always a possibility. Especially when it's going really slow. That's the trouble. All right. So, new low made anyway. There was a lower high there. My only slight concern was with that was with sort of 2/3. Well, we're over halfway down. So, it's definitely slowed up this afternoon. I've been told by a number of traders that summer markets are usually very low on volume. Yeah, I've read that as well. Don't just drift up and down. Yeah, I'm assuming this traders are probably on holiday, aren't they? So probably slows the market down. Yeah, it's actually not moving too bad today. It is moving. It's a little bit low on volume, I think. It's certainly a bit slower. But it's not the worst day we've seen. I mean, there was a really nice setup there. If you believe this is played out, which it has, I think, two clear legs up, you got a lower high there, which sideways and came down. And it came below the EMA and pushed back up, and then this dropped. So I think... I don't think that was a bad trade, actually. At the time, I was sort of more feeling sort of blessed that I finally had a decent setup. And I wasn't sort of focusing. Sometimes after a trade, I like to have a little bit of a break just to slow things down, because it's very easy to get a bit overconfident and then you jump back in and within 5 minutes you're in a trade and out and lost the trade. So But I don't think that was a bad trade, actually. I think it's highly likely Mac will probably mark that because we've had quite a bit of a tail and it's come back and closed below there. So clearly worked. I mean, if you didn't get what you want out of that push, eventually it never came back up there again. So especially after the break and 2 clear legs up, picked up a bit more liquidity up there and finished that off nicely. There's nothing else up there then. And then obviously we start pushing down. So it's just hard to know what's going on now. That's played out. Are we going to continue on up and have another leg, or are we going to? Is there going to be something? There could be something larger because it kind of fits the bottom there. Touches nice. So if we move that out of the way, I don't think it's terrible. But it's probably a little bit early, yeah, just to start thinking. But if we can get a second leg up, maybe get close to this top again and come down, so there may be something bigger. But that's the trouble is, if you manage to get up in a trade, in my opinion, you've got to be super careful then. The last thing you want to do is give your profit back. I rarely do give profit back because I tend to just get super strict. Which I don't think is a bad thing. I've done the old win one and lose it 5 minutes later because you get too confident. So I've kind of been there. So just looking at this chart, you can see on your left, we've had a push down. There is a second entry short there, which is kind of trapping the longs. We've had a push down and we've got a strong bull bar there, which is triggered. So this may come down. It might not also. We've got a leg down with 2 attempts up. It could go another leg down. It's always possible, but you just got to be so careful because you might, it's could do anything really. When it's played out like that, we've had a break. 1, 2 pushes down to a new low. It's hard to know what it's going to do. As I say, there is always a possibility. Sorry, something larger. And I say that because it kind of looks. I like that there. I like that. In fact, let's just take that away a minute. We've got a touch there, a touch there, and a touch there. So that might not be that bad, actually. What are you doing, lads? There's always a possibility. This is why this is what I've drawn. Yeah. Part of the reason because touch is nice. So, yeah, I don't think it looks that bad. Yeah, it's one of those things you never really know. I think it's certainly think it's certainly good to keep your options open. I mean, I'm not putting that there. I'm not putting that there to say it's definitely coming down, but what I do like is how nice we've touched it once, twice, 3 times perfectly on along the bottom. So if we come up here and bounce off this a 3rd time, for me, that'll confirm the likelihood of that channel, in which case then it could come down, because there could be 2 legs up and down some more. I don't know, perhaps I look into things a bit too much. Possibly. Which is, I'm okay with that. It's, you know, it's all part of the learning curve, isn't it? It's all part of the journey. Mind you, on this other chart here to your left, there's kind of a nice looking setup there, but I'm still on the fence here at the moment, because after we've had a break of that channel, we could push up, so we could trap some shorts here. That bearish bar there has triggered, so it could come up and push up, or it could come to the top here and bounce. It could do a bunch of stuff, but at the moment there is a failure there, but I'm not convinced there's not something larger. So by the time that bar finishes, so channel, maybe small break, who knows. I don't know, sometimes I think I might get a bit too, I might look into things too much. I think it's that journey we all go on, isn't it? Learning to be a trader. Sometimes we overthink some things, sometimes we underthink it, sort of overanalyze it, and maybe there's all sorts of different stages I think we go through as a trader, just trying to find that sort of equilibrium where we're confident in our abilities. Because I mean, although I could tell you what a nice setup is, I still don't feel like this is something I've been doing for donkey's years and I feel 100% comfortable and confident. I still feel like I'm very much learning. I'm certainly better at it than I was, no argument there. I certainly win a lot more trades than I do, but than I used to. But I still feel like there's so much to learn, and sometimes I still feel like I can be caught out. It doesn't feel like a job I've been doing forever, put it that way. I'm just going to put that there as a, without any colour. Just so I'm aware that there is a possibility we could have 2 pushes up and a new low, and now we could be working up. But because that fits so nice there, I mean, look how nice that fits. Bounces straight down, bounces off there. Look at that. Look at that. I don't think you can ignore that. But having said that, we've only had 2 touches so far. So I'll be looking for a possibility of a 3rd touch. Yeah, I mean, there is a second entry short there which is triggered. But look at this thing. It's really trying to push higher, isn't it? Really slowing up, isn't it? Come on, move your damn thing. So, 1, 2, 3. I don't know what's going on here. Where can we see the current promos on Apex? It only says about 80% one day off to pass on the first page. It doesn't tend to give you much more detail. Something special offer mentioned up there. If you go into whether you're getting Rhythmic or Tradeovate, if you go into the Rhythmic account, you don't have to use my code, but if you go to Rhythmic account, put my code in UKFT capitals, select the account you want, go through to payment and see how much it tells you. It doesn't do all that for some reason on the website. I don't know why, but just do what I asked, and then just see what the payment takes you. But you're supposed to get $40 eval price on the 50, the 250, and the 300K. So just go into it, put UKFT in, and then just see what it prices you. And it should price you $40. And then you get and then if you pass it, you get the $85. Now that runs out tomorrow, day after tomorrow, 10th. So yeah, just give it a go, just to try it and see what it says. And it should. Let's have a look. I failed and didn't cancel. One got renewed today. Oh, always check, mates. Always check. I need to gamble it till the 10th. I would suggest only gambling it if you can hold PAs. But you know, it's entirely up to you. But just go careful. I don't want you guys spending a fortune. Trust me, I know. I've put a ton of money into this. But in all fairness, especially the 250 and the 300, you've got to get a stupid amount of money. 15,000 on the 250. I just can't see myself sitting here long enough to make $15,000. But you know, personally, I like the 50s. I have had a 250, but the trouble is, I think one thing it's good for is for people who like to maybe swing trade a little bit. The trouble is with the 50s, if it moves up so much and comes back so much, you lose a chunk of your drawdown, and that's where sort of Apex lacks, I think, sometimes compared to some other accounts who have a daily. But yeah, the big accounts, I think, if you want a little bit more breathing space, I think they're a good idea. But you got to look at a bit of a sort of long term, to build up. But yeah, you can trade more contracts, or you can keep the contracts low at maybe 2, and then go for a bigger move. Trouble is, if you're coming down here and you're selling here, it'll come down and pull back about 8 or 10 points, and potentially, depending on how much it pulls back, but you're still safe before it comes down. You don't know how much of your drawdown it's going to eat, and sometimes, frustratingly enough, you can be in profit but blow your account. I know it's crazy, really, isn't it? But yeah, we have got that offer. I can assure you that. But just have a go, and that'll tell you what you need to know. And then obviously what you do then is down to you. But it does end on the 10th, which is the day after tomorrow. I'll let you know when. Sometimes they finish at, normal trading hours, but I think for the majority of the time they finish about midnight. So there's a possible ability of a bigger channel, or there could be something like that. That might work as well. But usually when we go down, continue down, there usually is a large channel. So whether there is or not, God only knows. This thing wants to come down more. I mean, it may end up, it's come down sufficiently enough now to not concern myself with a pullback, really. Having said that, there is a little double bottom there. But it may just end up being a larger range day come the end of the day. Pretty near a measured move. Yeah, there's always the possibility of this channel, and then with a break, 2 pushes up, and then 1, 2 pushes down. There's always possible, but I'm going to remove that just for a minute. When it's slow like this, at least when it's moving, it gives you that sense of direction, doesn't it? When it kind of freezes, you don't know whether it's going to go up or down. been going for? About another 5 minutes, I think, and that's me done for the day. I usually do 3 hours max. We're coming up 2 hours 45 now, and it's just slow for me. If I'm going to take a trade, really, it's gonna be sort of up here anyway. And at the moment, there's no sign of that happening. What? Yes, are you? What something was the ES at when you started trading? Oh, I see what you mean. Let's have a look, eh? I've got them going back about 2.5 years. Let's have a look. Good point, actually. Trading charts. I started taking them around about 3 years ago. Let's have a look. Or started watching them. Let's have a look. Around about the fours. Yeah. So, yeah, look. Definitely more setups there. Loss, win. Yeah, it's quite good to look back, isn't it? But yeah, with 2,000, over 2,000 points up compared to where we were, and that was probably one of the earliest ones. I was trading probably a month or so before I started saving them. Yeah. Possibly even lower as well. Yeah, around the foot. Yeah, 2,000 odd points. Interesting. It's interesting to go back and look, actually. But I would suggest you save them because it is good to look back. Should you have bought one contract when you started and been done with it? To be honest with you, those early ones, they were all on a sim. They were on a simulator. That was just when I was learning to trade, really. So there's 20, 30% increase. Yeah, over 30. Yeah, 4,300. Yeah, over 30% increase, yeah. And that's in 3 years. It's about 10% a year. I think the S&P 500 is a really good investment. I forget who it was. I read. I think it was what's his name? Who's the guru? Warren Buffett said. I think over the last 10 years, the S&P has averaged over 10% a year. I mean, that's a good investment, really. You know, long term, if you wanted to put a pension in it or something. You're really invested in the best of the best. You know, when we have things like COVID, no one's really safe unless you move it quickly to cash. But by the time COVID's happened, you've had that drop. But you're going to get those drops. You're going to get the recessions and stuff like that. But for a long-term investment, including COVID and all those other bits and pieces, it's definitely a good investment. Best of the best, really, isn't it? So yeah, 30%, 10% a year on average. So I would suggest 1, 2 legs up. We are coming towards that measured move. I like the way we've bounced there, nice and strong off the bottom of the channel. Okay, folks, I think I am done. How long have I been going for now? I tend to do 3 hours max usually. And we are nearly there, about 10 minutes off. So I'm pleased with today. Nice trade, nice sensible, really nice setup. Got no problems with that one. Nice 2 points, worked nicely as it should. Really nice looking channel. We had a break. It looked like a triple test, but as we pull down and take out any possible weak long positions first and trap maybe the odd short position. Yeah, you too, Edward. And then a nice comfortable push up, a little bit of a pullback, but then we pushed up again. So did what it was supposed to do. So that is it for today, folks. If you're carrying on trading, best of luck. It's not a bad day today, actually. You may have taken that. I think some on Thomas's Discord took that one. They probably had better signal bars there. I didn't hear. But actually, even trades like that there, I don't think was terrible. 2 pushes up. You took, where are you from, Mark, anyway? Where are you from? I'm not sure if I've seen you here before. Mark E. I can't think. Where are you from? So yeah, not a terrible day today. It is moving. There's not a massive amount of congestion. There's a little bit here, a little bit here, but really it's moving quite freely, which just makes a change because we have so many choppy ass days, but we just got little bits. Berlin, but from Leeds. I used to be a Leeds fan back in the day. Brilliant, excellent. Okay, So yeah, not a terrible day today. Little bits of sideways, only in a couple of little bits, but then we soon moved on. But yeah, but good. Brilliant. Okay, that's it for me, folks. Best of luck. I hope you have a good day. If you're carrying on trading, have a great evening. Stay safe, and I'll be back same time tomorrow. But a lovely start for the week anyway. Hopefully you guys took that same trade anyway. So I will leave you to it. Bye for now.